longer for all. It is for...
Welcome back, Truth Seeker. It is Wednesday, December 18th, 2019. The big news story, the impeachment vote in the House of Donald Trump, and want to once again expose what's really going on here. Again, the federal government is nothing but frauds. Truly frauds. Actors, political actors. Their purpose is to keep people fighting over the same old, left, right, Republican, Democrat. There is no difference between these two parties at the end of the day. The rhetoric's different, but at the end of the day, they govern the same way. They serve powerful financial interests. They do not serve the will of the people. Everyone should know this at this point. You know how it is. The Republicans, they line, and if you're listening to the debate today, I mean, you're hearing the same old. Republicans are getting up there and they're throwing in talking points about abortion, saying the Democrats are the same people who want to impeach Trump, who want to kill babies. It's the same old, but it doesn't matter who's ever in power. Nothing changes. It's just the same arguments, the same divisiveness. Think about more than a decade ago, the Republicans are in power. Wars are started illegally. Nancy Pelosi's the leader of the Democrats. She doesn't think it's worth impeaching over wars that are based in lies. But now she thinks it's worth impeaching because the president made a phone call to Ukraine to get dirt on Joe Biden, a presidential candidate. I mean, this stuff is a joke. And again, people need to see how the entire circus is operated by the numbers. We do not live in a democratic republic. We live in a dictatorship ruled by secret societies, and it goes back to the beginning of this nation. The picture up on the screen is George Washington wearing his Masonic apron, laying the cornerstone for Washington, D.C. And we're going to start right here because everyone needs to understand the code that these secret societies who rule D.C. operate by. It's this same code, which brings us why we're getting the impeachment vote today. It's the same code that explained why Brett Kavanaugh was sworn in the day that Anita Hill came out against Clarence Thomas, a mockery of the entire nation. It's the same ritual for why Neil McGill Gorsuch was confirmed as the 9th Supreme Court Justice on April 7th, 4-7, after the ritualistic reported death of Antonin Scalia down at the Texas ranch. It's the same reason Donald Trump announced he was running from a 58-story Trump Tower for the 58th U.S. presidential election, and the same reason he hired a 58-year-old to lead the inauguration ceremonies. Masons operate by a code. It is very transparent when you know it. So, let's go back to the date, September 18th, 1793. On this day, the cornerstone was laid for Washington, D.C. And why? Why on this day? There's a number of reasons. Numerology, astrology, ancient studies that are now laughed at by the well-programmed masses are important to the occult, which is Freemasonry. The numerology of the date, September 18th, had everything to do with why the cornerstone was laid on that specific date. So, if you're new here, numerology and Gematria, which is Jewish numerology, which comes from Kabbalah, which Masonry is based in, is what we're going to talk about. Because when you know these two things, you can see through all of the rituals. So September 18th, 1793 was a date with 137 numerology. Very special number to the Masons. We're going to pull up a Gematria calculator. If you write out Washington, D.C., you'll notice that with the alphabetic order, this is where A is 1, B is 2, C is 3, D is 4. Washington, D.C. sums to 137. Not an arbitrary number. The word government, when you turn the alphabetic order around, making Z1 counting back to A is 26, sums to 137. When you write out the word authority, it sums to 137. This code of letters and numbers originally comes from Hebrew. And again, this practice of coding numbers into words means is called Gematria, which means geometry in language. And if you're familiar with the Freemason compass and square, which they wear on their aprons, which George Washington had on that day, the compass and square are instruments of geometry. The Masonic logo is the compass and square with a G in the middle. Geometry, gematria. In Hebrew, the word Kabbalah sums to 137. It is the 33rd prime number. Prime numbers are numbers that are only divisible by one in themselves. 137, the 33rd prime. What's considered the most pure cipher is the alphabetic order with the rules of numerology. Notice the word federal is 33. The word masonry is 33. The word secrecy is 33. The word order is 33. Masonry is fascinated with the number 33 because of Kundalini, another thing that's studied within Masonry, which is about spiritual ascension up the 33 bones of the human vertebrae. And the word Kundalini sums to 58, with the reverse alphabetic order and rules of numerology. Freemasonry is 58. Freemasonry is born out of the Rosicrucian order. Rosicrucian's 58. Secret Society is 58. Donald Trump, winner of the 58th U.S. presidential election, announced he ran from the 58-story Trump Tower. Hired the 58-year-old Steve Ray for Inauguration Day. Hillary Clinton put out a book about why she lost the election. She titled it, What Happened 58? Not an accident. Again, King James was a Freemason and a Rosicrucian. He dropped dead unexpectedly at age 58. Let's come back to this date, September 18, 1793. It did have 137 numerology. And actually, before we move on, the only Confederate war general in D.C. who has a statue in his honor is Albert Pike, who was a Scottish Rite Freemason, just like George Washington. He wrote the book Morals and Dogma, considered one of the most important Masonic texts. And he's holding that book in the statue in Washington, D.C. In that text is where he says Masonry owes all thanks to Kabbalah. And again, in Hebrew, the word Kabbalah sums to 137. So, September 18th, 1793. What else is it about that date? The date can be written 18/9, like 189. Freemasonic equals 189. A Freemasonic ritual, laying the cornerstone. And what day did they lay the cornerstone? They laid it on a date that also had numerology of 47. It was a date with a life lesson number of 47. And again, on the Masonic compass out of the Scottish Rite out of France, DC was laid out by the Scottish Rite Freemason from France, L'Enfant. They set their compass at 47 degrees in tribute to the 47th problem of Euclid, which is about how to establish foundation for a structure. Notice all these words: DC, government, authority, president, White House, Republican, Whig, Democrat. They all sum to 47. The name Trump's 47. Obama, the last president, took the White House at age 47. George W. Bush was a little bit different. Absolute Masonic ritual, George W. Bush equals 58. We'll talk more about Bush. Prior to that, Bill Clinton took office exactly 211 days before his 47th birthday. 211 is the 47th prime number. The word Mason in Jewish gematria is 211. A lot of people don't know that Bill Clinton was born Bill Blythe. His biological father was found dead on the side of the road May 17th, 1946, the 137th day of the year. His mother remarried into the Clinton political dynasty out of New York. He was raised to be what he was. Look at the group of presidents, excluding Obama, that we've had. Trump, W, Clinton, all born weeks apart in 1946. No doubt all of them groomed for the presidency. We do not elect our presidents, they are selected. This entire nation is ruled by secret societies. Again, George W. Bush became the 43rd president. It came down to the state where his brother was the governor, the 43rd governor of Florida. His father was the 43rd vice president. In 2004, when he ran for re-election, he ran against John Kerry, who was a member of Yale's secret society Skull and Bones, just like how George W. and George H.W. Bush were members of Skull and Bones. And again, 43 comes down to Florida. Florida 43. Yale 43. Yale's the Bulldogs. Everything about this nation is done by this code. And here, let's just put them in here. Okay, you got to know all four ciphers to see through it. DC 47, Government 47, Authority 47, White House 47, President 47, Republican 47. They came out of the Whig Party 47. Abraham Lincoln said 4-score-and-7 years ago. Why do you think he phrased it that way? 4 and 7. Democrats 47. Current President Trump's 47. He sat in the 47-story Midtown Hilton Hotel the night of the rigged selection. The Simpsons, the writer of The Simpsons isn't a psychic. He's a member of the club. And that's how he forecasts so many things correctly, including the Trump presidency. He also has a cartoon where Lisa Simpson runs for president in the year 2028. That'll be the year that Ivanka Trump turns 47, 2028. And I just want you to see how Lisa Simpson and Ivanka Trump overlap in the 4-base ciphers. And don't forget that on Inauguration Day for the 58th president, the camera couldn't come off Ivanka. Ivanka 58. See how it works? Anyhow, let's talk about this now. Donald Trump. The impeachment is largely centered around his phone call to supposedly the Ukrainian president on July 25th. And there's a lot of things that are interesting about that date, but let's just start right here. From July 25th to the impeachment vote is a span of 147 days, a number that we've talked about an awful lot over the years. The full name of the president of Ukraine sums to 147. The phrase President of the United States equals 147. The word Freemason equals 147. U.S. President equals 147. There's 147 windows on the White House, and not arbitrarily. 147. Years ago, I was talking about what was going on in Ukraine and with the interim Prime Minister Yatsenyuk around the whole time of the Crimea ordeal. And I pointed out then, the interim Prime Minister Yatsenyuk announced on his 147th day in office that he would be resigning. Again, the same numbers used systematically again and again. 2 Ukraine stories related to the U.S., 147 the number. July 25th, the day of the supposed phone call, the day leaving 159 days left in the year. Donald Trump equals 159. Scottish Rite equals 159. The White House was subpoenaed about the July 25th phone call on October 4th, which is the 277th day of the year. 277 is the 59th prime number. Freemasonry equals 59 in Hebrew and in English. Remember, modern Freemasonry established in 1717. 59 is the 17th prime number. And then 59 years later, 1776, the United States established. And what's the birthday given to us in the history books? July 4th, and not arbitrarily, with the alphabetic order. Holidays 74, Masonic is 74, Occult 74, Jewish is 74, English is 74, Gematria is 74, if I can spell. 74. And remember, Independence Day is 74 as well. It's also 277, the 59th prime number, and again, comes 59 years after the establishment of modern Freemasonry, which was June 24th, 17. 6 plus 24 plus 17, 47. And again, 47 degrees on the Masonic compass in tribute to the 47th problem of Euclid about how to establish foundation for a structure. It's been Masonry from the beginning, operating by this code every single day. Every last detail about our history, the wars, the presidents, the major events, the financial collapses, all of it. You go back and you use this code and you can see through every last detail, no exceptions, because it's been the same people, the cabal 47, in control of it all. The day the White House was subpoenaed, October 4th, also the day leaving 88 days left in the year. Trump is 88. And remember, it's been an 88 show since 2015. We announced he was running. Been talking about this endlessly. And that's why I get pissed off every time that I think about how many times my channel's been deleted, because there's been so many important videos flushed down the toilet. No doubt this channel would probably have at least 300,000 subscribers if I hadn't been deleted 20 times. We've been deleted twice as we approached 100,000 subscribers. You know, could have way more than that. You just don't know because of the censorship. And now nobody can even find the channel. You know. Notice Ukraine equals 47. We'll get to that as well. The subpoena was delivered by Elijah Cummings, who's since been offed by the code. Came 72 days after the phone call. Elijah Cummings, 72. Cummings also 45, like Trump number 45. It was announced that there would be an impeachment inquiry September 23rd, and then the process began the next day. That was the day leaving 99 days left in the year. Cummings, 99. September 23rd, the day that we got the headlines about how there would be an impeachment inquiry. And then again, the next day, the process began. That's the 266th day of the year. Another special number, big with the Jesuits. Again, who was in D.C. before the Scottish Rite? The Jesuits were. And remember, a Jesuit, Adam Weishaupt, established the Bavarian Illuminati May 1st, 1776, a date with 99 numerology. And his goal was to infiltrate Freemasonry and take it over to fight the Jesuits, because he was a Jesuit who had turned against the Jesuits. And then you have George Washington's letters written in the late 1700s about how he was worried that the Jesuits had taken over, or not the Jesuits, but the Bavarian Illuminati had taken over the Scottish Rite. And again, Jesuits, Scottish Rite, that's DC's history. But the president's first and last name, 266, you got the announcement September 23rd. Here was the headline from September 23rd. Trump's face half in shade, dualistic, black and white, like Masonic symbolism. That's why their lodge floors are checkerboards. Ukraine drama could give Democrats no choice but to impeach Trump. And we've been talking about Trump and impeachment since before he even sat in the White House. Ukraine 11047, President 11047. This is how the entire code is contrived. Again, D.C., government, authority, the cabal, White House, President, Trump, Republican, Democrat, all 47. Again and again, the same numbers. Just to go over again what I presented last night. Nancy Pelosi received a letter from Trump about his disgust about the impeachment vote today, December 18th. From Trump's birthday to today is 187 days. Again, what's etched on the House of the Temple, the Masonic headquarters with 33 pillars on the outside. Ancient accepted Scottish Rite of Freemasonry equals 187. Washington, D.C.'s 187. George Washington's 187. Society of Jesus is also 187. That's the full name of the Jesuits. The letter was written on Pope Francis's birthday. Of course, Trump went to Fordham, the Jesuit university, and from Trump's birthday to the Pope's birthday is also a span of 187 days. Let's not forget that the last Republican king installed into office, George W., his birthday was July 6th, the 187th day of the year. Let's not forget that Donald Trump's GOP convention began on 18/7, a span of 187 days from inauguration day. And I told people then, Trump very well could be the next president, as unbelievable as it was. And we were even talking about it prior to that. We'll get to that point. But these were all the clues along the way that it was staged for Trump, which it was. Today, December 18th, 19, a date with 49 numerology, Scottish, Washington, America, all 49. Nancy Pelosi, she received the letter from Trump yesterday, 266 days after her birthday, which was on Pope Francis's birthday, the 266th Pope, the first publicly Jesuit Pope. And again, this all stems from supposedly a phone call to the president about getting dirt on Joe Biden, the 47th vice president. Again, 266, big number with the Jesuits. Society of Jesus, 187. Going back to the day that the two articles of impeachment were unveiled. And again, I can't post on my second newest channel right now because it has 2 strikes on it, both undeservedly. The last time I got a strike, it was for presenting why the articles of impeachment were presented the day they were. You know, for pointing out too many facts. I got a strike for hate speech. Just a complete joke. But why 2 articles of impeachment? Again, 2, duality, dualistic, Freemasonry, the 2 pillars. That's what they're all about. 258. Again, big Freemason number. Trump the winner in asterisks of the 58th U.S. presidential election. Who delivered those? Jerry Nadler, 58. This is what we've been talking about since Trump even set foot in the White House. Would he leave early? Impeach equals 134. Make America great again, 134. Here we are. Here we are. It was all in the slogan. The date the articles were delivered, December 10, 2019, a date with 61 numerology. The first article of impeachment was for abuse of power, 61. Washington, D.C. is also 61. The second was for obstruction of Congress, 119. Donald and Jewish Gematria, 119. We've been talking an awful lot about Donald and 119. Again, 2009, he did the ad for Serta mattresses, talking to digital sheep, 11 and 9. If you've never seen this commercial, go back and look it up. 2009, the commercial ends with Trump saying, "Looking good, number 9, looking good," wearing the same suit and tie he wore on selection night. What is it about number 9? If you add 1 through 9 together, it equals 45. Like how Trump became the 45th president-elect. And December 10th, 19 also was a date with 41 numerology. It was 179 days after Trump's birthday, which is the 41st prime. 41 is the 13th prime. Here we are on the impeachment vote on the day leaving 13 days left in the year. 13 stripes, 13 colonies, 13 years of public school programming. USA equals 41, the 13th prime. From the day the impeachment inquiry process began, September 24th to December 10th was 77 days. Washington, D.C. on the 77th meridian, United States, Secret Society, Judaism, Zionist, all 77. Jerry Nadler, remember he delivered the articles of impeachment. He wears a yarmulke too, just like Trump when he's in Jerusalem on Jerusalem Day. And don't ever forget about September 11th with the dancing Israelis who went back. Let me see. I'm seeing if we're still live. Okay, we're back. I can't see anything in the chat, but you guys are saying we're back. So, all right, let's keep it going. Normally the computer died. I was going to be able to finish. That was so weird. I've never seen the computer go off like that before we got down to 0% charge. Anyway, we were talking about how, again, another 77 ritual in D.C. And never forget on 9/11, Flight 77 supposedly hit the Pentagon, which is 77 feet tall. And don't forget, construction started on the Pentagon on September 11, 1941. 9/11, 2001 was a date with 41 numerology, blamed on Al-Qaeda. Al-Qaeda 41, Saudi Arabia 41. Anyhow, never forget that Flight 77 supposedly hit the 77-foot tall Pentagon on the 77th meridian, exactly 77 minutes after taking off. Took off at 8:20 reportedly and crashed at 9:37. And September 11th in World Trade Center is 77. And then you pair that with the dancing Israelis and the fact that this practice of coding numbers into words comes from Jewish mysticism, which is Kabbalah, and Freemasonry is based in Judaism. And then don't forget that on the same day that this happened, you got the articles of impeachment. The other big news story was a shooting at a Hasidic market in Jersey City. And it just so happened that the corner that happened on is where HBO had been filming the show, The Plot Against America, which is based in the book about if the United States of America had followed the path of Nazi Germany and what our history would have been instead. So a book that has to do with anti-Semitism, and then you get this supposedly anti-Semitic shooting, and they blame it on 47-year-old David Anderson, whose name equals 77, on the same day. And the thing about it being Hasidic Jews is Hasidic Jews are based out of where? The Ukraine. Just think about it. Think about the coincidence of all of that. All of it. The location, the fact that a movie's been filmed there, you know. And again, this is why the video got taken down for hate speech for making these points. But this isn't hate speech. These are just facts. This is thought. This is saying, okay, let's look at all the facts and see who really might be behind all this. People always say, who is they? Notice what else is coded into David Anderson 58. Who is they? It's not hard to see who they is when you know their code. So, moving on, let's never forget this. People think that Donald Trump was elected. No, he wasn't. I don't know how anybody can think any of the rigged selections are legitimate after George W. Bush. I mean, you got to be brain dead, honestly. And then 2004, between two members of a secret society that allows 15 members per year, Skull and Bones out of Yale. Again, you got to be brain dead to think that any election is not predetermined and rigged. This episode of Suddenly Susan has Donald Trump. The plot or the premise of the episode is about Trump being the next president. And what day did this episode come out? It came out on May 8th. May 8th. 5-8. 5-8. Like how Trump announced he was running from the 58-story Trump Tower. Like how he hired the 58-year-old Steve Ray for Inauguration Day. And again, if you read my book, there's all sorts of predictive programming for the Trump presidency. Something I pointed out September 2015. It's amazing to think that 4 years of videos have been deleted by Google since then. And really more than that. I mean, 5-6 years of videos just deleted. But, September 2015, did a video on this headline right here. Trump, the 133rd richest in the nation. Over the 33 years he's been listed. And Donald Trump makes his 133rd appearance on Fox tonight. That came a little bit later in 2016. This stat was up on Fox News' screen the night of the first Republican debate when, to narrow down the field, the very first Republican debate, they had this on the screen throughout the night. They put it up multiple times, and I did a video. I said, what do we know about 133? What do we know? The word president equals 133. The word White House equals 133. The word government equals 133. 133. They were telling you all along, Donald Trump to be the next king of the White House. So, again, I did a video last night and some moron left a comment right away. George Washington wasn't a Scottish Rite Freemason, and probably just a troll just spreading misinformation. That's what so many people do in the comments. And then the thing is, so many of you guys really need to learn to research. Because then people start responding, well, maybe he wasn't. Maybe he was York right. Well, why are you even writing back these idiotic comments? Just go read something. Fucking A. Don't get all your information from YouTube. I think that's how a lot of you are. Like, you don't actually read anything. You just depend on other people to give you information. There's a lot of people who all they do is spew bullshit that's backed in nothing. That's something that I've never done. I've always given you facts that you can verify. Everything about this code is verifiable, where it comes from, how it's used. So many of you guys are just so lazy. You do not read. You don't do any research for yourselves. You just depend on the words of others. And then when a troll comes along and spews some bullshit, you're just that easily misled. Oh, there's some information from somebody else. I'm not used to doing thinking for myself. I'm even going to believe what the troll says. Oh, maybe he was York right. I mean, what are you even responding to? No, he was a Scottish Rite Freemason. 100% verifiable. Recorded all over. And again, George Washington inaugurated at age 57. What was it? 4 of the first 6 presidents were inaugurated at age 57. Notice George is 57. Scottish Rite is 57. And you know, Trump being Mr. 88 and so many 88 rituals around him, that's not an accident either. George Washington also sums to 88. And of course, it also sums to 74 like Masonic and 187 like Washington, D.C. and ancient accepted Scottish Rite of Freemasonry. Again, that's why you got to know all these ciphers. There might be something to 245, but that's something I don't know yet. So I can tell you about all 3 of these numbers, but not sure about old 245. And it's very possible that George Washington was a crypto himself, because those 74 and 88 always show up with these people. So, and again, one of the biggest conspiracies in this nation's history was the assassination of JFK. That happened in Dealey Plaza, named after a Scottish Rite Freemason. And it happened in the 187th year of the nation's existence. JFK assassination's 187. There is a cipher where you multiply the alphabetic order times 6. JFK assassination's 1122, just like the day he was killed on, November 22nd. And of course, JFK gave the speech about secret societies. So, and there's a whole lot more to that as well. Don't forget, he was the only Catholic president. Catholic equals 35. He was the 35th president. He was killed at age 46. 46 books in the Old Testament of Catholic Bibles. And be sure to read my book, because I cover every Kennedy death. And there's also an entire chapter on the Kennedy assassination alone. So many people in the Kennedy family have died by the exact same numbers. Numbers that trace back to these same secret societies. All right. We'll leave it there, Truth Seeker. Till next time.